Good afternoon class, welcome to Daily Current Affairs for the paper Hindu. Good afternoon Kritika. No problem, even good morning is fine. Yes. So let's see today's papers. Today's paper current news. Okay, just a moment. Yes. So the current news, first news is about just a moment, give me a moment. Yes, so the first article is about, I hope my voice is audible, right? Yeah, okay. So first article is about its centers call says Supreme Court on menstrual leave policy. So currently there are these speculations and some of the countries have offered that we will be giving menstrual leave during their working time or in a monthly basis for the people or for the women basically who are experiencing this menstrual cycle. So they will be given certain leave policy will be there. So for that there was one petition which is being raised to state the stake of Supreme Court on this particular menstrual cycle leave policy. So here Supreme Court says that the petitioner can approach the Ministry of Women and Child Development. So now you need to understand that, yes, thank you Kritika for confirming. So you need to understand that currently Supreme Court, even in the past few days, if you can see, Supreme Court is continuously highlighting the power or the separation of powers between legislative, executive and judiciary. It is strictly mandating and strictly telling that if it is under the ambient of judiciary, definitely we will be taking that action. But if it is beyond that ambient, then we will not be ready to accept that particular case. You can go consider particular executive or particular legislative. So here they are clearly taking that go approach the minister, go approach the Ministry of Women and Child Development. So they are telling that indirectly that it is a responsibility of an executive and not executive or union or parliament or legislature too, and not under the ambience of judiciary. So here I would like to explain you three things. Judiciary restraint or judicial restraint, then judicial activism, judicial overreach. So just I will be giving you just because I don't want to waste my entire time on this. So yeah, so now if the judiciary is restraining itself, so what is judiciary purpose? To protect or to defend the constitution and to be custodian of the constitution. And recently it has showcased that it is judiciary alone is not the exclusive body which is the custodian of the constitution, whereas the parliament or the executives are also custodian of constitution was being mentioned by Supreme Court recently. In the same lines, here it showcases the concept of judicial restraint. That means the judiciary itself is restraining that yes, we will be in a place where executive is unable to or executive is having certain grey areas or faults in its execution of administration. That is where we will intrude. That is where we will give our suggestions or principles or rules and regulations, but it will not be more than the ambient of our own judiciary. So if it is restraining is a concept which is a negative concept where judiciary will restrain itself from doing more activities or intruding into executive. Coming to judicial activism, example Vishaka guidelines, where Supreme Court has given certain guidelines on sexual harassment prevention, especially in working place. So based on that particular guidelines, later on executive have come up with one particular act on prevention of this sexual harassment, especially in workplace. So an act has been come into picture. So here the executive, whenever the executive is failing to address such some things that are being executed or that are being identified by judiciary and showcasing it to the executive. So here interdependence is there, at the same time there should be certain demarcation with their activities. So judicial activism is something which is exactly opposite to restraint, where the faults or flaws of executives will be identified by judiciary and it will showcase on what can be done further. That is your activism. Now, overreach is a place where it will completely go beyond its functions and then do certain kinds of regulations. So completely intruding into executives. For example, so there was one case, so Narayan case, if you can see, cinema halls case, recently you would have seen, like not recently, around past years, where national anthem should be sung in your cinema halls. Okay. So Supreme Court has stated that yes, national anthem, whenever you are playing a particular movie, before that national anthem should be played in the movie, sorry, it should be telecasted in that particular theatre, and when this is being telecasted, then everyone should be standing up and the doors should be locked from outside. Now, when you see this, it is understood that it has overpassed its own judgment. So, in one of its judgments, Supreme Court has told clearly that no one can force anyone to compulsorily sing their national anthem, because there was one case where Supreme Court has ruled out that two students, school students were they were beaten up by the school principal, the school management basically. Why? Because they did not sing the national anthem in the class, in the school, because their religion will restrain them to sing any other kind of songs other than their own tradition. So they followed their tradition. Of course, India is a secular state and it respects each other religion. So here Supreme Court has ruled out that no one can force or no one can infringe on some other people right. So it's their own wish whether they wanted to have their own way to express their nationalism or not. Patriotism can be in other ways of expression too, not necessarily by singing national anthem. That was the first case which was deviated from this Narayan case. So just go through, I will be telling you that case also soon, by the end I will be telling you. And number 2, what is the second is that once there was an accident in theatre because they were locked from outside. So because of lack of oxygen, some kind of fire accident, it was done, and then Supreme Court itself ruled that no other theatre should have the right to lock from externally. So nowadays if you go to theatre, you would be clearly visible that you can go outside and most of the theatres will not be locked outside. So we can open the doors, they will be locked from inside itself. If you want to go to washrooms or something, you can open and then you can go. So in this way, it has completely gone apart from its own judgments. So now who is it actually benefiting? And it has told clearly that everyone should be standing up, but no matter what, they cannot be going away from their position. What if there is an emergency? What if the person is physically or differently abled person? These are all did not been, it hasn't been mentioned clearly. So such cases will be your judicial overreach. And PIL is a concept or the birth child of judicial activism. That is your public interest litigation. So public interest litigation, social action litigation or social interest litigation. All these are the synonyms. So which you can pose it or you can tell that it is a part of judicial activism where no need to be any locus standi or no other thing. So what is locus standi? The person who is actually the victim or who is actually the person who has been affected by the particular reason, apart from him anyone can other reach into it. So locus standi is something that whoever is the victim, that person has to go to court. But in PIL, that particular locus standi has been removed, where even if the person who has been affected by a particular case, a third party can attend behalf of him. So that is your PL, which is directly your judicial activism. Okay, fine. So that was introduced by B.N. Bhagavati, Justice B.N. Bhagavati. Fine. So here I wanted to add that there is a backdrop. So here they have mentioned here clearly that yes, you can go directly and ask Ministry of Women and Child Development. Okay. So yeah, they are telling that we are restraining it basically. So we are judicially restraining ourselves indirectly. Next. So governor takes note of, no, this is local news. Yeah. So explanatory one, there are few only, we will see. Here there was, here what is the point that I need to add is, there was one article which says gender equality key index in gauging health of democracy. Says who? One of the Hindu group publishing private limited chairperson, Malini Parsardi, she has mentioned. So in this article what she has told is not much importance. Yeah, only one part which I found as important is that, so despite constitutional guarantees of gender equality, the absence of legal fetters, and she mentioned that currently in the economic force, so in the economic force of the demographic dividend, the female labor force participation is at the rate of 20% only, which is one of the lowest. That means compared to the female and male participation into economy, the female labor contribution is, labor force is 20% only. So yeah, and she has mentioned that was a matter of concern especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, and there was one report which is GE and Avatar research report of 2021 said that women make up only 12% of India's manufacturing sector. So two things mentioned, completely labor force from women is 20%, which is less than the global average. At the same time, this report of GE and Avatar in 2021 November has told that yes, so it's only 12% of the women workforce are in manufacturing sector. Okay, fine, that is about this article. Next. So Navy submarine docks in Indonesia. So our Navy submarine, which is INS Sindhukeshri, our submarine, it was being landed in Indonesia. So currently we are going to have, or we are currently having certain positive relationship with respect to our Navy. Okay. So the article says this: in line with the expanding military cooperation with Southeast Asian nations, Indian Navy Kilo class conventional submarine, which is INS Sindhukeshri, docked in Jakarta, Indonesia for the first time in February 22 to 24. This is the first time where India's Sindhukeshri, so India's INS submarine has reached into the waters of Indonesia. So why are we doing this? So Indonesia, you need to understand, that is one of the Southeast Asian countries, and it is also fighting, or it is having issue with China regarding 9-dash line I have expressed. So in the same line, India is trying to have positive relationship with these countries which are opposing China. Okay, fine. So that is the backdrop. Highly enriching engagements with the Indonesian Navy conducted during the port call, strengthening our maritime partnership, yes, maritime partnership, and towards safer and secure Indo-Pacific. So our submarine has reached that particular place by passing through Sunda Strait and undertook the maiden dockyard in Indonesia for Operation Turnaround, a defense set. So for that particular program, this INS Sindhukeshri has been sent into Indonesia. That's all, nothing more than that. And we are going to have a positive, we are going to strengthen our positive maritime security with Indonesia, and yet to come more news on that. Fine, next. So due to oversupply, 1 in 3 trained pilots is without a job, says who? DGCA chief. So who is DGCA? Directorate General of Civil Aviation, responsible for all aviation kind of activity. So air traffic, everything, they are responsible for that. And he has mentioned one particular interesting fact is that 1 in 3 are without a job. So he mentioned that the pilots who are being trained for having this pilot job are having unemployment rising. So despite being trained, they don't have proper or huge aircrafts to fly. So that is what DGCA said. He said that there is an oversupply of people, especially if you see even in graduates too. If we can see in every street there are many BTech graduates. So we are also over supplied BTech graduates. In the same way, now the market is inflated with the employees in or with the people who are being trained in pilots or trained in aviation sector. So he said that, and currently India has 9,000 employees as pilots in Indian carriers. Add to those who work for non-scheduled operators such as charter aircrafts or private players. He is just giving the data, and one thing he has mentioned that 1/3 of the people are unemployed. Okay, so that is about it. Nothing more is being mentioned here. Next, courts can't be turned as fortress for security or security. So here Supreme Court has told that court complexes across the country cannot be converted into fortresses in the name of security, denying ordinary people access to court proceedings, says the Supreme Court. On a bench said that the judiciary follows the open court principle, insisting the security solution should be a balanced one. The security is so tight in the Supreme Court complex, it is not accessible to all, says Justice Butt. So this is a criticism on Supreme Court that, so you need to know that appealing or appellate jurisdiction of Supreme Court is there, right? So we have appellate jurisdiction for both civil cases, for the ordinary cases, for everything we have. So from article 130 to 143, if you can see, we have different kinds of jurisdictions mentioned for judiciary, especially for Supreme Court. So now here it mentions that this appellate jurisdiction or appealing to Supreme Court is not inherent. It is not an inherent right for all the citizens of India. So if they wanted to take into the higher courts, either the lower court should be giving a certificate that yes, this particular case can be further referred, or they can opt for any PIL, which I told you, social action litigation or public interest litigation, through which the High Court or Supreme Court has to accept. So in that particular line, one of the justices has criticized that Supreme Court is building a fortress around it, where people are unable to reach. So this is basically about the appellate jurisdiction which they are speaking about. Okay, but just now as I told, because of the huge cases or huge case burden on Supreme Court, it is not possible for the Supreme Court to deal every small and then issues, and it will be really inflated. So justice delayed is justice denied. So you can't delay a particular justice, which is indirectly denying the justice, right? So that is why it is being, so that is on the positive end where it is unable to access, or it is not what we can say, it is not the citizens friendly court here. So where citizens can directly approach the Supreme Court, because already the cases are huge, they are huge in number. So delaying a particular, so it is a delay where a case can be executed. So delaying is again an issue. So that is why Supreme Court is building a fortress, because they need to go, they need to acknowledge the small courts too, like the district level, different level courts should also be acknowledged and be equally powerful, not completely equal, but yeah, to an extent it should be also powerful. So that is the positive end, and this is a criticism where it is not able to accept more cases. Okay, fine. Next. So there is going to be a portal called EBird. So bird is delayed. Bengal reports 489 species during the count. So around 190 countries are being participated into this, which is a EBird portal, where online platform where different kinds of birds are being counted all over the world. So around 190 countries are a part of it, in which Bengal had 489 bird species of the count, aviation species. So you have all those. So yeah, that is being mentioned. 35 countries, sorry, 35 states and union territories, all the places, including Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, every other places you have this. And currently West Bengal has reported the highest number of species, following Uttar Pradesh and Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so these are leading in bird species. So two things that you need to know, EBird is a platform where they are counting all the different birds available all over the world in 190 countries, and in India 3 states are spiking up, or 3 states are the topmost states which have more number of birds. So in that, first is West Bengal, second is Uttarakhand, third is Arunachal Pradesh. So here who is being doing this during the Great Backyard Bird Count, GBBC, okay, GBBC. So that particular 2023 count is being happening, okay, fine. Next. So next article, MG Naregas, over 40% of gram panchayats do not report digital attendance. Negative effects of digitalization, important. So here, what this article says is that, as you know, currently in this particular budget, Manrega has also seen huge cut. So they told that some or the other way these people are getting benefited with some other schemes. That is why we have cut the funds of Manrega, and recently Finance Minister also told that if at all there is any requirement, of course we will try to revise it, but no official statement after that. So currently what happened here is that they have introduced a policy that you should have a digital recognition as a person. Apart with that particular digital recognition, and that too through this portal NMS, which is National Mobile Monitoring System, through which this application you have to register, you have to have this fingerprint for your attendance. With this attendance itself, you will be able to get your will be able to get your amount through Manregas. So your 100 days of working days will be counted digitally. Are you able to understand? So that will be counted, and based on that they will be giving their money. But actually the actual motto of Manregas is to boost up economy in the rural sector and to ensure food security. It has lot of other effects, domino effects, and it is again targeting almost around 9 SDGs. What? Your Manregas. So all sustainable development goals, almost 9 sustainable development goals are related to this Manregas. So it ensures that, and this is a scheme which actually is in the form of welfare and not something which is to be like what we can say, which is to be encouraged or which is to be counted based on their efficiency. Are you able to understand? So it's not something that you need to check upon efficiency, but something which is of welfare thing, and this was commented by the other opposition party. So they have mentioned that it is not something that is out of efficiency which you need to give, it is something which is a welfare kind of thing. But of course the positive end here is that the governments or union is converting towards digitalizing India. So initially this checks and balances, this particular discrepancies will be there, but after this everyone will be tuned towards digital way of attending or digital way of monitoring. Are you able to understand? So today if I wanted to attend an interview, I don't want to run to some other country or some other company. I can sit in my home and interview. I can take my interview. So in the same way, there can be a smart way of monitoring system in e-governance. So that is what a positive end of this Manrega, whereas the negative end is, once again. Okay, what is MMS? No, NMS and NMMS, which is your National Mobile Monitoring System. It is a mobile application. So now, you understood, right? Yes, great. So currently what they do is that it is a monitoring system through which you will be digitally giving your attendance, that yes, in this 100 days of work I have attended for that. Okay. So yeah, that is about this article. So activists have claimed that, just a moment. Yeah, see, they have told one particular line. So this is a participative law and cannot be set aside by the government dikkat. It is a law created by the people, and Manregas is a right to life. So is right to life, right to food, right to survive. All these guarantees under Article 21, right to life. So it is not a luxury. Who has told this? This particular activist of Manrega. She has mentioned that yes, it is something which is voluntary and something which is guaranteeing the right to food security or right to life, and this is not something that you should be having digital attendance. But yeah, it is true to some extent, but I would really tell that yes, suppose if there is in the initial days of fourth revolution, before this revolution comes, whenever the industrial revolution has occurred, every time the speculation is that a lot of jobs will be replaced. Of course, recently AI has took its place. Now ChatGPT, BARD, all these are applications which would replace many other jobs. At the same time, it would create n number of jobs in return. So which is almost double or triple based on its application, based on its usage. Many number of jobs will be created. So on the left end there will be some kind of criticism, at the same time at the right end you will have a positive aspect too. Okay, that is about this article. Next. So yeah, COP21, your conference of parties is very important for your environment. So definitely important, can expect question in your prelims and also in your mains. So what, but here this article is not important, but once this particular conference of meeting is done, currently 27th meeting, 26th meeting are done, so those are important for your environment this year. Okay. So what she says is that, who Leena Nandan says is that COP must focus on adaptation instead of mitigation, says official. So what does this say? The forthcoming United Nations COP is going to be conducted in Dubai. So it is going to be conducted in Dubai, important. Place is also important for your prelims. So must focus on adaptation instead of mitigation, says the Secretary of Environment Ministry, Leena Nandan. So one of your civil servant, secretary, no? So she is mentioning that COP conference of parties bunny. So yeah, conference of parties, so they are currently conducting this so that the concepts of mitigation and adaptation are at the heart of international climate discourse, and the adaptation refers to assisting countries that are most vulnerable to the effects of climate change with finance infrastructure assistance. So what she actually meant is that instead of mitigation, try to focus on adaptation. So try to convert people in, or try to help people with financial assistance and capacity building, so that they will also further adapt to the actual environmental conditions. So she says that that can be one point where everyone can focus on, where COP parties meeting, sorry, conference of parties 28 can focus on. Okay, fine. So that is what she said. And COP 27 was conducted in 2022 in Cairo. So where they have also discussed that we require much more discussion on loss and damage mechanism. So currently the decision to establish a loss and damage fund and to compensate to some countries for the damage already wreaked for climatic change was highlight of COP 27. So in COP 27 what happened was, they have been discussing about the areas where lot of loss and damage have been occurred. So for those particular areas where already the damage has occurred and wrecked many lives, for that particular place they will be operating one fund. So they will create a fund. In that fund, through that fund they will be giving financial assistance, and also any other knowledge kind of training will also be there. Capacity building will be there. So currently this particular fund was already the matter of highlight of COP 27. Okay, fine. Just go through the outcomes of COP 27, what are the regulations important for your GS3 environment. So yeah, I think there is no other articles. These are not, yeah, this article is important. These articles are completely focusing on your Russia-Ukraine. So yeah, let it be. And recent update is that, this article, recent update is that China is now trying to have mediation with Russia and Ukraine, where it is now urging that yes, countries like US and all, US and China should focus on not giving them more aid for war, where now US has pledged that we will be giving you defense military equipment will be provided from our country. So now China is giving an open statement that no, that should not be the case, you should be resolving the issue and war will not benefit anyone. So now they understood that, because when US has pledged it, and now it is trying to cooperate or have a common deal. Next. So uncertainty stays, but global economic outlook improving. Who says? Shaktikanta Das. Who is he? RBI governor. So he says that. So recently, like in almost every other class, we have been seeing that the current recession, the current upcoming recession, or the current existing recession in Western countries. So we never know how it will be impacting our country, but as per the IMF report stated that very minimal impact will be on India. Of course, there will be slowdown globally, but India is growing out stronger, and the speculation of IMF is 6.2% growth, whereas our estimation is 6.5% growth in GDP. But now, and we thought that it, currently the Western countries would be huge impacting with this recession. But what Shaktikanta Das has been speculating is that there is now greater optimism that the world may avoid deep recession and not only experience slow growth or softer recession, and only experience. So what he says is that now the world will not go into complete recession or deeper recession, and which would result to depression. It will not be in the same case. It will go into a softer or smoother growth. So the economic growth will be very much less, but it doesn't lead to recession. That is what told by Shaktikanta Das. So he says that, yes, from Odisha, correct Bunny. So yeah, so I don't know he is from Odisha or not, but I know that he is the RBI governor. Yeah, okay, fine. So yeah, said on Friday, upon G20 resolutely addressing the challenges including debt distress and the threats to financial stability and confronting world economies. So in this particular G20 nations meeting, so which are going to be conducted like continuously, it is being conducted all over India, right? So in that particular meeting, he has been speculating that despite having all these doubts on Western countries, definitely there will be some kind of economic stability from West and also in India. That is what he has speculated. Fine. Next. So after this I did not find much articles. So we don't have any other explanatory article to explain. Yeah. So today, this is it for today. So yeah, we don't have much other, almost all articles are on political today. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for the session. Good day.